Hello everyone, and thanks so much for your time. So, for my Kaggle X Capstone project, I wanted to tackle something that I think we can all agree is, well, a universal headache. I'm talking about applying for a travel visa. My solution is a project I'm really excited to share with you called VisaMate. It's a context-aware AI travel agent, and its whole purpose is to make this incredibly stressful process, simple and straightforward.
Okay, so here's a quick look at what we'll cover. First, we'll dive into the problem itself. Then, I'll talk about why an AI agent is really the best way to solve it. After that, we'll get a little technical and peek under the hood at the architecture. And of course, I've got a demo to show you how it works in action. We'll wrap up with a bit on how it was built and where I see this project going in the future. So, let's jump right in.
All right, first things first, the problem. And I'm sure if you've ever applied for a travel visa, you already know what I'm talking about. It can be just an incredibly confusing and honestly super stressful experience.
So what is it that makes them so tough? I mean, why are they so confusing and time-consuming? Well, the root of the issue is that the whole process is just riddled with ambiguity and complexity. And that, of course, creates some major pain points for anyone trying to travel.
You've got confusing rules that are different for every single country. The process itself is just so manual and takes forever. And the risk of making one tiny little error, it's huge. And that one mistake can lead to really costly delays or, even worse, a flat-out rejection. On top of that, the document requirements can be super vague, and good luck trying to figure out if you're even eligible or finding an open appointment. This is the exact real-world mess that VisaMate is designed to clean up.
So that brings us to the solution. And I really believe that an agentic AI approach isn't just a good way to tackle this, I think it's the perfect way. And this slide really gets to the heart of why. Let's think about it. The old way, static government websites and PDFs, they're basically just a one-size-fits-all instruction manual. There's no memory, no context. But an AI agent, that's a total game changer. It's like having an interactive partner. It gives you dynamic, personalized guidance because it actually remembers the conversation, it understands the context, and it can even use tools to get you the most precise answers.
Okay, so how does VisaMate actually do all this? Let's pop the hood and take a look at its architecture. I really focused on making it modular and logical, so it's pretty easy to follow what's going on.
The whole system is built around these 5 key parts. So everything starts with a memory module. That's what keeps track of our conversation. Now, when you send a message, it first hits the intent agent. This is the brain that figures out, okay, what does this person actually want? Are they asking about how long it takes, what documents they need? Then, if it needs specific data, it can check the Visa toolbox. From there, the reply agent crafts that smart, context-aware response. And holding it all together is the coordinator, which basically acts as the conductor, making sure the whole orchestra plays in tune.
All right, enough with the diagrams. Let's see this thing in action. I've put together a quick demo so you can see for yourself how this architecture translates into a real, helpful conversation.
So, let's start with a super common question, but one that's also pretty vague. How long does a Canada visa take? Now, if you go to a typical website, you're probably going to get a really wide, unhelpful answer, right?
But watch what VisaMate does. It's way smarter. The intent agent immediately flags this as a timeline query, but recognizes it doesn't have enough info. So instead of just guessing, it asks for exactly what it needs, the visa type and whether biometrics are done. And this is the key takeaway. It doesn't just wait for information, it actively guides the user to give the right details for a useful answer.
Okay, let's try another one. Another really common question. The user is asking about documents for a student visa. So they're specific about the type, but you'll notice they've left out a pretty crucial detail: the country.
And this is a great example of the agent's ability to seek out context. It knows what the user wants, but it also knows it's missing something. By asking for the country, it avoids giving bad advice and makes sure that when it does give an answer, it's going to be the right one.
Now, check this one out. This isn't even a question, right? It's just a statement. I already submitted biometrics. A more basic chatbot might totally stumble on this.
But VisaMate's intent agent is smart enough to read between the lines. It correctly figures out that this is a status check. It understands the real goal here is to track an application, so it gives the logical next step. Okay, I'll need your application ID. This really shows how it can reason beyond just simple Q&A.
So now that you've seen what it can do, I want to quickly touch on the technical side of things, the foundation that makes all of this possible.
The whole thing was built using Python, and I developed it in a Jupyter notebook to make it really easy to demonstrate. I kept the tech stack pretty simple. using standard but really powerful libraries, like data classes for managing memory cleanly and JSON for logging. The idea was to keep the dependencies light and really put the focus on the core agent logic.
And here's just a little peek at the code. This is from the intent agent. As you can see, it's not some crazy complex model. The logic is actually pretty straightforward. It uses simple keyword detection to figure out the user's intent. Now, sure, you could use a more advanced LLM here, but for this specific problem, a clear rule-based approach like this makes the agent's thinking totally traceable and super reliable.
So the whole project was really guided by 4 key principles. First, a modular architecture, which just makes it easy to update and maintain. Second, making sure responses are context-aware by using that memory module we talked about. Third, all decisions are intent-driven, which leads to that personalized feel. And finally, everything is logged, so you can easily trace the agent's thought process, which is a lifesaver for debugging.
And that brings me to my favorite part, the vision. Where could VisaMate go from here? What I've shown you today is a really solid proof of concept, but honestly, we're just scratching the surface. With a bit more time and resources, this could become an incredibly powerful tool.
I mean, just imagine, we could expand it to support multiple languages. We could hook it up to real-time government APIs to get live up-to-the-minute processing times. We could even build an OCR so you could just snap a picture of a document and have the agent verify it for you. Of course, deploying it as a proper web app would be next, and adding automated reminders for deadlines and appointments. The possibilities are huge. The foundation is all there to build a complete end-to-end travel assistant.
So, to wrap it all up, VisaMate is really a demonstration of how a well-designed AI agent can take something incredibly complex and stressful and make it simple, clear, and efficient. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
I'll just leave you with one last question to think about. If an agent can untangle a process as notoriously messy as visa applications, what other complex, real-world systems are out there just waiting to be transformed by this kind of approach? Think about finance, healthcare, even law. The potential is massive.